Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and this is my husband Manny. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this really pretty Instapot cover. Now you can make it with all one fabric. You have the option of putting a little handle on the top and even some decorative trim going around the center. Or you can make it using two different fabrics, also with the little handle on top. And on this one I have ribbon. If you don't want to use ribbon, you can use any decorative trim of your choice. So let's get started. To measure your Instapot, measure from the top of the handle right on this edge here, the top part. Go up over the top and down to this edge over here. Mine measured 16 inches. Divide your number in half. Mine came out to 8. Then add 1/4 inch for seam allowance. Then measure from the top of the handle down. Mine measured 9 inches. I added 1/2 inch. If your measurements are the same as mine, then cut your fabric out according to my cutting instructions. If it is not, then you will need to make adjustments. There are many different Instapot models. I'm using 44-inch wide fabric. If you are using fabric that is narrower than that, then you will have to adjust your measurements and the amount of fabric you buy. Fabric A, which I'm using for the top, you'll need 1/2 yard. Cut one 18-inch square. Fabric B, let me move this up, that's the bottom and side, 3/4 yard. Cut one that is 43 inches by 9.5, two that are 2.5 by 44 inches. When you cut these two strips out, you will be stitching them together. But on one of the strips, you'll be able to cut two pieces by 2.5 inch by 9 inch. Lining, you'll need about 1 yard. Cut one 18-inch square, one 9.5 by 43-inch strip. Cotton batting, you're going to cut it the same as the lining. You can buy cotton batting in small packages or off of the big bolt. So how much you'll buy really depends on if you're buying it in the package or off the bolt. So make sure what's in that package is going to give you your pieces this size. And then also optional trim, 1 1/4 yard. This is how I recommend you go about cutting your fabric for fabric B. When you purchase your fabric, the selvage edges are usually together. So leave the fabric folded in half. So here's your folded edge, here's the selvages. Make sure you cut this edge straight and then move your ruler over 9.5 inches to cut out that main piece for the body. Then move your ruler over 2.5 inches and do a cut, and then move your ruler over again 2.5 inches, do a cut. And as I said earlier, you will be stitching these two pieces of fabric together, and also out of one of these pieces you can get your two pieces that you need for the handle, and that is 2.5 inches by 9 inches long. This really pretty fabric that I'm using was purchased from Joann Fabrics and Crafts. You can probably also get it at joann.com. Take your square of lining fabric that is for the very top and do this step at your ironing board. Fold the square in half and press this folded edge with your iron. Then fold it in half again and press it with your iron on this edge. Then take this folded edge and bring it over with this folded edge and press it with your iron. unfold it. The diameter of my Instant Pot was 16 inches. I'm going to divide that in half. That gives me 8 inches. Then I'm going to add 1/4 inch to be used for seam allowance. So go along one edge over here, the folded edges, and I'm placing a mark at 8 1/4 inches. Then go over here and place a mark at 8 1/4 inches. Then take your ruler and leave the 8 1/4 inch line up there, and you're just going to keep moving it and putting little marks, and you're going to keep doing that all the way over to this other side. Then draw a line to connect all of the markings. I like to put little weights on top to hold my fabric in place while I cut. I'm using a rotary cutter. You can use scissors, but make sure if you're using scissors that you place pins to hold your fabric while you cut. Then cut right on your drawn line. On each of the folded edges, you're going to mark your fabric for darts. These darts are used to get the fabric to curve and mold around the top of the Instapot. So here's a fold right here. Mark 1/2 inch in from this edge and 3 inches from down here up. So take your ruler, put the 1/2 inch line there, and then the 3 inch mark right on the edge, and draw a line. And you're going to do this on all of the folded edges. Take the fabric for the outside, that's for the lid, and place the pretty side, the front of the fabric, facing down on top of your table. Take your cotton batting, place it over that. Then place your lining fabric over the cotton batting. Make sure the side that has the pencil markings is facing up. Then either pin or place weights around it, and then cut around this circle. Place a few pins around through all the layers to hold it together while you fold and stitch your darts together. So fold it on the very first fold line and take your straight pin and go in between the layers and tuck on it and make sure that it's all smooth in there, and place pins. Then stitch from this edge here down to there, and make sure you backstitch at both ends. Then go across to this fold over here and pin it, and then stitch, and continue going all the way around until all your darts are stitched. After you've sewn your darts together, then you can do quilting stitches around the top if you choose to. You can either use a straight stitch or this wavy line. It's called a serpentine stitch. And if you have a computerized sewing machine, you probably have this stitch on there. After you're done with your darts and you've pressed them and you've done your quilting stitches, this is what the top piece should look like. Now I'm going to show you how to make the handle for the top. This is just an option. You don't have to make this. So take your fabric. You should have 2 pieces already cut for this. Take those 2 pieces and fold it in half and press. Then take both, bring them into the center fold line and press it. So you're making 2 of these. Then fold each end over and press. And you're folding it about 1/4 inch. Remember that you're doing it at both ends on both of your pieces. Then take them and bring the back sides together, line them up, place pins around, and then stitch close to the edge all the way around on all four edges. Place it in the center. And I've taken the edge here and placed it about 1 3/4 inches to 2 inches from one of the darts here and also over here, because you want it kind of loose. Stitch it down and stitch close to the edge and go in about 3/4 of an inch and then stitch across here. So you've done this kind of not quite a square, and then stitch across here and here, and do it on both ends. Layer your fabrics for the lower portion of the cover. So place your lining fabric down, and your cotton batting is next, and then your fabric for the top. And make sure the fabric for the outside is facing front side out. I also recommend you do quilting stitches all over this. You don't need a lot of them, but I would do at least 3 rows, and that's to hold it all together. I did a little bit more of an elaborate pattern, but you don't have to do that. If you're going to use any kind of trim, rickrack, or ribbon, place it down after you've done your quilting stitches and place pins to hold it. Then stitch on each side all the way across. Take the 2 ends on your bottom section and stitch them together about 1/4 of an inch. After you've stitched the side seam, then I recommend you either do a zigzag stitch along the raw edges, or you use one of your sewing machine overlock stitches. If you have a computerized sewing machine, you probably have a few of the overlock stitches. Then bring front sides together of the top and the bottom section and pin it around the edge. Your pins are going to probably be 1 inch to 1.25 inches apart, so you want them fairly close together because you are going around a circle. Then once you have it pinned, stitch 1/4 inch seam all the way around. After stitching this seam, then I recommend you do again either a zigzag or an overlock stitch around the edge. This is to prevent it from unraveling when it's being washed. Take your fabric for the binding and fold it in half and press it all the way down. Place the raw edge of the binding against the lining fabric on the inside and pin it all the way around. Then start about 3 to 4 inches from the end of the binding and stitch 1/4 inch seam all the way around. Stop stitching when you're about 4 inches away from this end of the binding. Then overlap the 2 ends, and you're going to cut this strip about 1/2 inch overlap. Then you're going to unfold your strips and bring them together. Bring the ends front side together. I recommend you pin them and then stitch a 1/2 inch seam all along here. Finger press this seam open, fold it in half, and finish stitching all along here. I recommend you do this next step at your ironing board. Fold the binding over like this and press this edge. When pressing this edge, it will make it easier to fold this around to the front. After pressing, then fold the edge around over to the front and then place pins to hold it in place. Then stitch close to this folded edge all the way around. And then you're done. For more beginner sewing projects, play this video until a green screen appears and then click on the links.
What? What are you saying?
I have no idea what he's saying.
It's Irish. Your last name is Oyedenoi.
Wait, that's your Irish accent?
Yeah. you look so Irish, honey. Okay. All right. Let's do this one right so we don't have to do it again.
Okay.
All right. If you like this video, click on thumbs up and also click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on that red subscribe button down there in the lower right hand corner of your screen. Click on the bell and enter your email address so you can receive email notifications about my latest video. If you're not receiving those emails, go to your cell phone or iPad, click on Settings, and turn notifications in the on position. This is Maria, this is Manny, and this is Jamie. I'm Cheryl. So glad you came to my sewing room. See you next time, and happy sewing!